Adriana, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because you and I we did a presentation a while back on Latinas and wealth, and I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
bring that conversation for whoever missed that presentation. I wanted to bring that conversation onto the podcast because I think it's hugely important to talk about like culture, money, immigration, all of those
Mm-hmm.
pieces and bring it all in together.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
important.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to start just by asking you, what is it like, what turned you on to thinking about money as a Latina woman?
Yeah, let's see. Well, for me, I think what trigger the, the whole journey in my finances and my identity, I think it was a time in my relationship, in my marriage was just like we were doing really, really bad. That was actually during pandemic.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason behind all those situations that we and those conversations that we were having, and just like, we couldn't like overcome that emotional, I don't know, I felt like a nut in a relationship. Like we
Yeah.
couldn't even like untangle it.
Yeah.
It came down always to me not producing, me not having an income. So
Okay. Okay.
of course, at that time, also, I felt like I had to, I didn't realize that, but I was doing it. I was kind of like asking for permission to even like buy something for myself because I just had my
Mm,
daughter. We had, pandemic. Then I wasn't producing. We were receiving something from my husband's work, but,
yeah.
it was very stressful globally, but
Yeah.
also, I yeah, I felt that I didn't have the right to just spend money for whatever I need in the moment. I
Yeah.
just needed to ask for permission, be, very clear what it was. And, it was just very hard for me at that time, even just being here in Canada, because as a first generation of immigrants, I didn't have a family close by.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have the time, also the luxury of having the time to just going to work and make
Yeah.
my own income,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I had a little one, she was 2 years old. And this is something that a lot of women experience. I know I've met a lot of women that have been in this situation where, is whether being at home or working to pay a daycare, which
Yes.
it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. So let me back up for a second because I wanted to ask you like when you and your husband would, let's say, argue or have a discussion
Mm-hmm.
about money, what did it look like? Because I think that it's important for people to hear themselves or see
Mm-hmm.
themselves in,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, that's an argument that I have too, or yep, we talk about those
Mm-hmm.
things too.
Mm-hmm.
How would it come up?
Um, it was usually me coming to him like, hey, I want to, whether it was I want to invest in a course, or what I want to buy something, or I
Okay.
need a computer, or, yeah, I'm gonna go with this clothing, things like that.
Yes.
Then it was kind of like, well, but we've
Okay.
been spending on this and that and that. And then it
Got
becomes
it.
more about like, let's talk about what we already spent on and all the things that we
Oh,
are putting money towards. Um, and and maybe in this occasion it's not okay to spend on that what you want right now, but then the next
right.
week he will have, I don't know, he will buy something for himself, and I wasn't even aware of it.
Got it. Got it. Oh, wow, that's tough.
So
And
then, of course,
so he was in the role of a financial gatekeeper.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, after seeing that, I will come back, when that will turn into an argument and
So
like,
you would
what
say,
the
hey,
heck?
you spent money on something and I
Exactly.
asked for some
Yeah.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And, or I will be like, just having, doing all sorts of things to find used clothes for Alina,
Mm-hmm.
everything secondhand, like
Yeah.
everything that I could do to just reduce our expenses. And
Yeah.
then he would even pay attention of like, I don't know, you're spending on drinks every single day. You're going out to get like coffee or things like that. And
Yeah.
and I will be like, but wait a minute, like I was doing all this effort to because we had
Mm.
this previous conversation of we were
Yes.
spending too much and here and there,
Yeah.
then what's up, right? Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
gatekeeping finances, but without even having a budget or actually financial
Yeah.
literacy,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's so true because we often get into these dynamics, and I'm talking now, yes, heterosexual relationships, but it could be any kind of dyad, but that the person who's in charge of the finances doesn't necessarily have all the information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're not necessarily pretending they have all the information, but they're assuming they have all the information or that they have more information. And so that sets up a power dynamic that can be really
Exactly.
unhealthy.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There's power struggle constantly that
Yeah.
will lead to emotional stress, and of course that will bring like so much from my past. Like for me it just was like, wait a minute, but what am I doing here? What am I doing
Mm-hmm.
here? Like looking myself in the mirror and being like, what am I, what is the example that uh, giving my daughter right, in this
Mm-hmm.
moment of my life? What what I'm putting out there is affecting her directly,
Yeah.
right? Like now
Yeah.
seeing myself as a mom as well, and then of course seeing that leads you to see my mom, and I love. Very interesting psychology. I also have, the uh, the postpartum doula course, the early childhood educator, and all that. It was just I've been really good in self-reflect and questioning. So
Yes.
that I started to dig in a little bit deeper in like, okay, this is something that I'm experiencing, but why am I experiencing this? And I
Yeah.
think it's because as Latinas, and let me back it up. I think like, and I did a little bit of research here because in general, like worldwide, we women, it's been just like 100 years that we've been reclaiming our sovereignty. Only 100
Yes.
years in worldwide.
Yeah.
There are places in the world that still women don't have the right to vote, things like that. Like
Yeah.
financial rights,
Yeah.
it's amazing that in North America, it wasn't until like 1970s that women were able to apply for a credit card or a mortgage without their husband's signature.
Correct.
So we,
1973.
we are dragging that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're still healing that. But
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, what about Latin America? That's even
Right.
later.
Mm-hmm.
So as Latinas, we're still in the early stages of reclaiming that sovereignty,
Yes.
right? So our collective nervous systems is still healing, and this is healing. We're healing centuries of repression
Yeah.
because 70s, that means it's just my mom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just my mom who experienced that, and that was so new that maybe wasn't like applied right away in Latin America. My mom was
Exactly.
still dependent, and I was taught, and I think this happens a lot for Latin America women. We learn to be a good wife.
Yeah.
We learn, and that means being a good dependent.
Yeah. And I mean, as crazy as it sounds for you to like sit here and say that, like hearing that, it's just like, oh, that's so like stereotypical or that's so 1950s. And it's like, yeah, like, even the question like, oh, are you a good cook? Or,
Mhm.
do you work outside of the home or this and that? that is all around like, are you going to be a good wife? Are you going to be
Uh-huh.
able to be a good mother? Like it's,
Mm-hmm.
there is so much still around that that is
Mm-hmm.
maybe more subtle, but still an expectation.
Yes.
Um, and the like if you are somebody who's, let's say, ambitious about their career, that is still kind of like, but are you going to be a good mother and wife? Right?
Exactly.
Whereas,
Yes.
nobody asks a man, if he's going to be a good father and husband, if he is career oriented. So that's
Yeah.
still very much in the ethers, in the air, in the culture, in
Mm-hmm.
the expectations. Yeah.
Absolutely. And those were also the conversations with my husband,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're about to get divorced at that time because um I remember once he told me something like, no, 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 but your job is being a mom. Like right
Oh,
now, yeah, I know we're talking about finances, but no, 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 no. Your job right now is just being a mom, and being a mom means, being cooking, etc. Because I wanted more time for myself to being able
mm-hmm.
to do something for me. So I had to
Yeah.
negotiate time. So that
Yeah.
meant that he had to do more at home. He had to take care more of Alina.
Yes.
So that meant, oh, of course, now but you're taking time. You're taking my time. And for him, it's like, but I'm already working. Like I
Ah, okay.
already paid my dues. And of course, that was a year of a lot of struggle. We did therapy. We did a lot. I did a lot of healing. Um, and when I had Alina, a lot of things came out. Like I was holding into intergenerational pain because I was holding some pain in my body, and a lot of things came out through
Yeah.
that pain. And of
Yeah.
course, that opened up a whole journey and process of in my relationship
Yeah.
that led to be more equal
Mm-hmm.
in all
Mm-hmm.
those topics, right? Like we had
Yeah.
to do that. I feel like I
Yes.
was the first in my generation who did it. That's why it
Yes.
was so painful.
Yes, absolutely. And
Yeah.
so I want to just make a note to whoever's listening, like you are still married. Like you
Yeah.
worked through all of those really big challenges, and
Hmm.
you both did the work to get to a place where
Yes.
things
Hmm.
felt more equal, felt more balanced, where the power was better distributed in your relationship. And
Yes.
I want to also, if you can share about like the the part about like you immigrated from Venezuela, right, to
Hmm.
Canada. So
Hmm.
that's also like a factor in that whole dynamic of like you being in a country that is not your home country or the country that you grew up in, and how that
Hmm.
affects then your perspective on money and wealth and all of those pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. I think every immigrant leaves their country to find a better life. And for me, it's like, yeah, everything works here. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
perfect here.
Mm-hmm.
But then you come, or at least I came into a system that I wasn't really understanding at the time. And once again, I'm marrying a Canadian. So I'm thinking, he got it, he understands. So then I'm
Mm-hmm.
relying on asking those certain questions to me, like, hey, how this works or whatever. And and of course, well, for me at the time, I feel like I need I need to go to the institutions that I think are gonna guide me for
Mm-hmm.
this for financial literacy. And unfortunately, I didn't get that. I was
Oh,
just
okay.
basically led to open account under with with Connor, and I had yeah, I had that account. Then we got married and we continued just like, having our own things together. But yeah, I didn't really know anything about finances. And when we were having those struggles, it was when I realized that I needed to take um I need to take control of
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
part. So I
Mm-hmm.
started learning. everything started more like healing my relationship with money, more like a therapy and
Mm-hmm.
spiritual part of
Yeah.
money.
How did that start for you? Like, what was your process?
Well, actually, what everything started when I joined a group called Sacred Economy, and it was all based in the gift economy. So we
Oh,
were
yes.
gifting. It was a group of women who were gifting each other's money. I'm just like taking turns, and it was very beautiful. But there, I started to meeting a lot of women that were in the same situation. I'm just trying
Mm-hmm.
to find something that gets me out of this relationship, and you know,
Mm.
I
When you say
just
out of this relationship, you say out of
like
like a partnership, love
our
relationship.
love
Okay.
relationship. Yes, yes. And it was my situation as well. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm feeling trapped because I can't do what I need to do, which is work
Yeah.
to be able to be to leave or to just find my way.
Yeah.
We ended up finding it, as we mentioned, but um yeah, um
And so that
it,
spiritual journey started there with money.
yes, yes, that spiritual journey started there. Then I started working. And then I was paying close attention to everything that was coming in and out, right? And then I was, counting every dollar.
And what was
And
that? What was that about for you? Counting every.
um, what's that?
What was the reason behind you counting every dollar?
Well, obviously, me working, it was like I'm earning now this money, right? Like
Aha,
I
yes.
have to pay close attention of how to use it.
Yeah.
And now with the added income of my husband also where we can find now that middle ground, right? Like now I can see, okay, if I'm going to pay 50-50, let's see where are the places that maybe I have to save a little bit more to be able to pay
Mm-hmm.
like rent or food or any, my child's needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
My needs.
Yeah.
um and of course that was just an introduction to finances because at the end of the day I still didn't have any real knowledge about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I joined the Wealthy Women's Vault that I learned so much. That was 2023.
That was
um
2023. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and
that
for those of you listening, the Wealthy Woman Vault was an online program that was all like almost like a summit around women and money and wealth. And it was basically like it was viral. It went viral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was like my university on financial literacy.
Wow.
And I just became so passionate because I found the tools.
Mm,
I found the tools. My relationship was better though,
yeah.
but I found the tools that gave me the step by step, the structure of how to find financial independence,
Wow. Yes.
because I want to do it.
Yeah.
In my family, I didn't have that. Many
Yeah.
women in my family didn't have that. So I want to be that. I want to be financially independent and give my daughter that example.
Yeah.
And well, I met you,
Yeah.
and I joined the Vortex, and I started studying everything about finance here in Canada, and it just everything blew my mind away
Yeah. Yeah.
because even Canadians don't have that knowledge, right?
Yeah,
So
right, right. Average Canadians who grew up in Canada don't have that knowledge. And you, as
yeah,
an immigrant Latina, you know
yeah,
now, and you can share that. I think that's so amazing. That's so
it's
awesome.
so powerful. I think that because of that healing that we've been going through, women and now as Latinas, it's our time. I feel
Yeah.
like it's our time to really just making those moves, because I feel that those moves, emotional, legal, financial, entrepreneurial move,
Yeah.
are rooted in an act of ancestral healing. And that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
take us just so far, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm giving my daughter as well. I'm just healing. I'm thanking, um, you know, my ancestors, everything that they gave me. Thank you for giving me that. And from now on, I'm doing it differently,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and it, I released so much pain already. I released beliefs, but there's still space for improvement. There's still a lot of
Yeah.
things that
There's
I
still
can do.
growth and
There's
expansion. Yeah.
definitely there are a lot of growth and expansion. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you had to let go of in that process that you feel, would be helpful for other women to hear?
Well, I think is one of the beliefs that we've been domesticated, infantilized about is that women are not good with money. And that's something that is just maybe a trauma response. I know
Yeah.
I'm not good with money. I know, I'm not, I don't know about anything. I'm gonna talk with my husband. He's the one who takes care of the
Yeah.
finances. Just
Yeah.
talk with him. Just so, and I was doing that.
Yeah.
And when I see, for example, my mom and how she did it, even though the fact is that not only my mom, a lot of women, we are like 99% the managers of our finances in
Mm-hmm.
our
Mm-hmm.
household.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Right.
We manage at least 99% of it, but still feel that we're not good with numbers and we have to
Mm-hmm.
ask for permission. So
Mm-hmm.
that was something that I released. I released that inherited belief, um, and just start seeing myself as someone that is completely capable of learning
Mm-hmm.
numbers,
Yeah.
managing numbers,
Yeah.
and just doing it. You know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
was a big
amazing.
one.
Yeah. And when you, yeah, and I mean, for what for you are the steps of when you talked earlier, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around, but earlier you said this is when I started studying for your license, I learned the steps to financial independence. What
Mm-hmm,
are those
mm-hmm.
steps for the people who are listening? What are those steps?
Yeah, well, I think that, and this is something that why I want to share this, start my
Yeah.
own podcast,
Yeah.
because in here you're gonna listen to the stories that is gonna help you to be aware, to identify where you're at, because I think that's the first step, like just being aware and being able to articulate that, being able to just express those needs. It will
Yeah.
be the second step. Just identify, then express those needs to your partner, to your parents, to whoever is around you that might need to know that you are starting a new journey, and this is like an identity work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yeah, so and of course then learning the practical tools, um and I will suggest, not only as a financial mentor, but also as a intuitive healer, to do a financial plan as well, like
Yeah.
just understanding where you're at, that awareness, and where you want to go, and then having a professional to lay out to you, like, look, these are the steps, this is
Yeah.
what you need to do, just learn the tools, just learn how the system works, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
um yeah, that I think that's what it will bring, that foundation, that security
Yeah.
that we're longing for.
Yeah. What do you say to Latinas who's like, the system is not made for me. I don't want to learn the system. I opt out.
mm, mm. Oh my goodness. I feel that that's a tricky one because
Because
the
and I
possibility of
I ask because because when we talk about immigration, we talk about like when people come to the United States or Canada, the assumption, right, is that they're coming to live a better life, better quality of
mm-hmm,
life, and
mm-hmm,
part of
mm-hmm.
that is being able to make more money,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And so, right, and some people, let's say first gen born here, second gen born here,
Mm-hmm.
are like, my parents came here, but this system was not set up for me, or not set up for
Mm,
me to win, right? So my
mm,
parents made the
mm-hmm.
sacrifice to come here, but I'm not going to participate. So what do you say to those women?
I think that that's once again that's a belief that you have to work on because then you feel that it's not set up for you just because uh you know you don't know the tools. You have to work first into um believing that there's something out there for you. There are opportunities for everyone to understand how the system works and how you can make you know, invest wise investments where you can save on taxes, for example. That's a big
Mm-hmm.
one here, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
come from, yeah, Latin America or, for example, Venezuela. We don't even know what taxes are.
Mm-hmm.
We don't
Mm-hmm.
do that. We don't pay
Yeah,
taxes,
exactly.
right? So you
Yeah.
come here and you're like, how come I'm getting my first paycheck and they just took away this so much money, right?
Yeah,
I'm
you
like
need to just
excited.
understand, like, I think we need to, like, when, as you're talking, what's coming to me is like, we need to understand the money system as a language.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you come from Venezuela or somewhere else, and you come to Canada or the United States, and you're like, what is this language? How do these folks talk about money? How do they understand
Exactly.
the money system as a language? Right? I said we need to
Exactly.
become bilingual in money systems,
Hmm. That's right.
right? So that we
Yes.
can, yeah, and so that we
Yeah.
can navigate our way through the language and maybe come up with our own language,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? I think that
Yeah.
it's only when we understand a language that we can play with it,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
That you can play with the words and the expressions. And I
Mm-hmm.
think
Mm-hmm.
you and I are both on the same page. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we understand that the current systems are not ideal. They're not necessarily built for women or people of color,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And so we understand that yes, that may be fact.
Mm-hmm.
And we can change that by understanding it more. Understanding how it works is like the first step in
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
shifting it. And like I want to say, use the word manipulating it, but I in a positive way, like moving it, manipulating it
Yes.
for our gain, so that we are also like um, taken care of in that
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. You can
Yeah,
see it even like a game, you know.
yeah,
It's like it's
yeah,
the game. You have to just learn the rules and play the
yeah,
game.
yeah,
And just
exactly.
yeah play it on your favor. You
Yeah,
have to understand first how to play,
yeah,
so you can have fun as well. And yes, there are certain things that we see that has been gate kept from
yeah,
everyone. It's not
exactly.
only people of color or Latin, but everyone, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
that's the fact.
Yeah,
So we just and access to people like us that we are doing this is our mission. We want to share
mm-hmm.
these tools with
Yeah,
everyone because
yeah,
we believe that everyone deserves to have these tools.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you see in specifically Latine families around
Mm.
money? Like, what are some of the trends, the cultural trends, the habits, yeah, habits, beliefs, etc.?
I think it's just. one of them is just holding the money, holding it under your mattress. You just have this
Ah,
little bit of money. You just made it here. You're so holding it so dearly, and then you just don't wanna even spend it, don't wanna even use it, don't wanna put it in this account or the other account because you're so afraid of just losing that,
losing
right? That
it.
you work
Yes.
so hard for it.
Right, right.
So, so
Yes.
yeah, I've had experience with Latin families as a financial mentor that I have to spend more time just making sure that they understand that certain places there are places where your money is going to be secure.
Right.
That trust, back to that trust.
The trust. And I mean, is it possible that part of the distrust is not only because the system was not made for us, but because in our home countries, the system is much more corrupt, right? It's just like,
Exactly.
so
It
it's
can
like,
happen.
yes, so the only safe place is under the mattress.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. It
Yeah.
happened. It happened to me in Venezuela. I was with the
Yeah?
bank and it actually just went bankrupt and I lost my
What?
money. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. You had
Yes.
money in the
Yeah.
bank and you and the bank went bankrupt.
Closed and no
Oh
one
my.
no one got their money.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, Adriana.
Yeah, and this is when all the like the expropriation were happening of
Yes.
like private companies and
Yeah.
private land.
Yeah.
So yeah, that time Chavez and the
Wow.
government was just taking over a lot of those private companies. So yeah, of course, a lot of people just
Yeah.
experienced the consequences of that,
Oh my
and it
gosh.
was awful, awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's why a lot of people left, and now that we're here, we're like, oh, this is not also the the American dream or the Canadian
Mm-hmm.
dream that I
Mm-hmm.
thought I was going to experience.
Yeah.
Uh, what can I do now? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
store it under my mattress because I don't
Yeah.
trust anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also, I've found that there's, and you can confirm if this is true or not true for you, there's also a lot of secrecy around money.
Hmm. Hmm.
A lot of secrecy. Like, we don't talk about money. We don't tell each other how much we make. Parents don't tell
Hmm.
their children how much they make. Um, Parents don't talk to their children about investments. I know that in my family, like, I don't, yeah, I didn't know how much my dad made or my mom made. That was like a
Hmm.
secret. Like, you don't tell your kids how much money you have because you don't want them taking advantage of like asking for things. I mean, that's part of
Yes.
it, but it's also just kind of like it was just something that wasn't talked about. And I know that partly that's generational for me.
Yeah,
But I still see a
definitely
lot of that
cultural.
secrecy. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely cultural too. Like we didn't learn. We just heard our parents saying money doesn't grow on trees, or you just have
Mm-hmm.
to work
Mm-hmm.
really hard just to
Yeah,
survive, and
yeah,
we just have those stories of negative narratives around
yeah,
money.
yeah,
And of course then we repeat that, and we choose not to talk about as well
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
it's just painful again just talk
yeah,
about the um because yeah, some of us experience poverty, that's also a trauma. So um but
yeah.
yeah, the thing about secrecy and not talking about money is really big, like in
Mm-hmm.
when I'm having some sessions with Latinos, yeah, it takes a little bit longer to build
To
that
build the
trust.
trust. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
that makes
And
total sense.
yeah, it is part of it. And
Yeah.
I honor that that is what is happening right now, but I see we are changing as well.
Mm-hmm.
We are reclaiming that sovereignty. We
Yeah.
are healing those parts of ourselves. I think a lot of people is becoming aware of um, whether it's a trend or not, people are becoming aware of like the
Yeah.
tools.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I've heard you talk about fuck you money, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
really important for any woman to have. Um,
Yeah. Excuse me.
and to have the ability to, as you said, you talked about these women that you met in circles, and they were maybe not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily Latine or whatever, but for any woman to have fuck you money, to be able to leave a relationship, to be able to change a
Mm-hmm.
job if they want to change a job, or to be able to go somewhere and travel. It can be for pleasure. It doesn't need to be for an emergency or some dire situation.
Mm-hmm.
But for us all to have fuck you money, and especially like in machista cultures, the cultures that are still, where there is a little bit, where we're maybe behind, 5 or 10 years in terms of like gender roles or,
Mm-hmm.
power dynamics, for us to be able to move forward on our desires, on our dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen statistics about Latina women that we are incredibly entrepreneurial, like
Yes.
have a entrepreneurial fire. And for us to be able to say, fuck it, I'm going to start this business. And I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
ask for anybody's permission. I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to like ask my husband, my father, my brother, my uncle, my cousin for
Yeah.
permission. It's like, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that is very powerful,
Just
you
make the
know?
move. Just make the
Yeah,
move,
yeah,
because yeah, that's exactly how the root of how everything started for me as well.
yeah,
It was anger. It was just like, I want to say fuck you, fuck this relationship, fuck the government, fuck whatever. If I want to take off, I'll take off.
yeah,
So
yeah,
this is important for, yeah, as you said, for every woman, just because it we're still in this how can I say it, in this we're still emerging, right? So
yeah, yeah.
we still need a little bit of that anger to just make the move.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, it's gonna feel so good. It's gonna feel so
Yeah.
good for everyone to just have it. Even if, in my experience, even if I just I heal my relationship, I'm still in my marriage is back to being
Right.
okay. You took your power back. You know
Exactly. Exactly. That's the whole point, right? And
exactly.
women of all cultures can come to you and sit with you. Canadian citizens can come to you
Mm-hmm.
and they can sit with you, and you will make a plan for them. You will show them how they can get the fuck you money to do whatever they want to do, right? Whatever goals and dreams
Yes.
they have, you do that for them, and you show them
Mm-hmm.
what investments they can make, right? And how they can minimize, paying taxes, or how they
Yeah.
can maximize the growth of their money, because under a
Mm-hmm.
mattress, that money is, losing, uh,
Yeah,
losing
buying
buying
power.
power, right? Because of inflation. Yeah, so you do all of that, and you also train other women. You train men and women and everybody in
Mm-hmm.
between, but that's part of what you also do, is that you train people to become financial advisors as well in Canada.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think that is really like, this is like a full circle kind of like dharmic calling, that
Mm-hmm.
you provide the plans, and you also train people how to just have a new career, change their identities, and upgrade their own like wealth signature, or like internal map around like what
Yes.
they get to have.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
It's an identity shift,
Yes,
definitely.
for
We
sure.
have to stop
And
saying that we're not good with money. We definitely can
exactly,
get really
that's
good
not
with
true.
money.
Yeah.
That's not true. Yes.
And you're also starting a new podcast. You mentioned that a little bit earlier, but I wanted to talk a
Yes.
little bit about it because it's really exciting. Yeah.
Yes, actually, the podcast is called Raíces y Alas. It
Mm-hmm.
means roots and wings. And it is actually the name came to me when I was having some female clients that were stay-home moms, and their experiences was so similar to what I was experienced that I
Yeah.
was just like, oh my goodness, yeah, this is gonna keep happening. This is gonna be presenting into my life, and I just wanna, as I mentioned, just share stories of women and bring professionals that can give you legal tools, financial tools, emotional tools, psychological tools, so you
Mm-hmm.
can really articulate, just find your way and be like, okay, now I know what I can do next, or
Yeah.
just even able to know what it is that is happening to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm bringing this podcast pretty soon. I'm doing the pre-launch, and I'm just offering right now $100 to also, in representation of that financial freedom. This is just like a token of, there you go, you can have it. For those who share the most, who bring the most listeners,
Okay. So
so
you're
they
doing
receive.
like a launch special where if people
Yeah,
share the podcast, they can enter to win $100.
exactly.
Oh, that's
Yes.
awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
and many other things. Like I have a
Yeah.
lot of gifts that I'm gonna give, just because I feel it was the goal in the moment, and I'm
Yeah.
just very passionate of like, yeah, let's honor our stories, let's honor our ancestors, but right now it is the time to take off,
Okay.
with your own
Okay.
wings.
All right.
That's the
And so
meaning of it.
so I'm guessing that there's a link that where people can sign up to get the
Yes,
information. Okay. And I'll include
absolutely.
that in the show notes. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah, you can put it there.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, it's
And
not all about finances. It's a lot about storytelling.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
so yeah, so this is for who? The podcast is for all Latinas? Is it for who is it
For
for?
all women that, might be in their 30s with young children, maybe are
Mm-hmm.
experiencing something similar to my story that
Mm-hmm.
I told at the beginning, that are breaking that cycle, they're healing their
Yes.
lineage, that, they're building their wealth. They want to, with intention, but not with fear. They want to learn
Yeah.
about generational wealth,
Yes.
just all that. And yeah, want to heal their relationship with money.
That's awesome. I
Mm-hmm,
love it. I love it. And when
mm-hmm.
are you going to be launching the podcast?
That's gonna be in September. So,
Okay.
um, whoever joins the link in the link, I'll
Yeah.
let them know via
Okay.
email.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yes.
you're creating a waiting list for people to be able to join. And so they get the first notice when the
Yeah.
podcast launches and when the contest starts that they can participate in that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, Adriana. It was so nice talking to you
Yeah.
today.
Thank you
What is,
so much.
just in closing, where can people find you? If they want to sort of follow you right now and get a feel for you, where can they find you?
Instagram at
Hmm.
Adriana Pili _. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Great.
Just
And
text me, message me if you want to chat about it, if you want to share your story, anything. I'm here. I'm really open and easy to talk, so don't be
okay.
shy.
All right. And so, what is one thing that you want to leave? One really important thing that if you felt like we didn't talk about something, what is one thing that you really feel someone needs to hear right now?
Well, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart that for those women that might be experiencing a hard time, you're not broken, you're not behind.
Mm,
This is just a moment to remember that you have the power.
That you can shift it, right? You can
You
shift
can
it.
shift it, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. The tools are available, and we're here to help.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Adriana.
Thank you, Isha. Mwah.
Mwah.